was asked, and he didn't mind kind of tweaking the 49ers, there's an AFC team that he likes talking about.
Bo Nix is playing really, really good ball right now. Defense is outrageous. You got P2 out there who's, I would say, the best at the position right now. Probably been for the past 2 years. Got the other guy on the other side. I just think you need a couple more pieces, and then it'll be what it need to be, and just have to get past Pat Mahomes every year.
Now, I do think he has value. He seems like a nice kid, but he can be noisy often. And this is just a reminder to all the general managers in the NFL. Every top running back that went to a team, Derrick Henry to Baltimore, Josh Jacobs to Green Bay, Saquon Barkley to Philly, Joe Mixon to Houston, Aaron Jones to Minnesota, J.K. Dobbins to the Chargers. Those teams all made the playoffs. They were productive and valuable and mostly quiet, good team guys. They changed the physicality of the team, the temperature of the offense. They were also very valuable for either older quarterbacks or new ones. All those running backs changed the teams. Now let's look at the wide receivers who moved around. Devontae Adams to the Jets. Didn't move the needle. Calvin Ridley. Yeah, he went to Tennessee. How'd that work out? Stephon Diggs to Houston. D-Hop to the Chiefs. Did he play in the Super Bowl? Amari Cooper to Buffalo. Gabe Davis to the Jaguars. Did any of those guys have real impact?
Okay. So he doesn't really talk enough about Deebo and the Denver Broncos, but I really want to talk about that. And so I'm going to talk about Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos and about, first I just want to ask, and I want to talk about also now what Colin just said about running backs versus wide receivers. So I want to talk about a few things. But first and foremost, I want to ask Denver Broncos fans right now. This is what I always love when I just ask the question directly to Denver Broncos fans and, of course, other fans who are just, interested in general fans. Like, do you want Deebo to go to Denver? It is intriguing to think of what Sean Payton can do with the Deebo. I think it would be so much more reliant on the conversation you have with Deebo, the interview. Like, it wouldn't just be like an X's and O's. It would be like, who are we bringing in our building? What type of player are you looking to be? What type of role are you expecting to have? Because I think, Sean Payton with Bo Nix, right? When you have a new coach, obviously he's not 100% new, but, newer for the Denver Broncos, he's instilling his culture, and you're doing it now with an up-and-coming quarterback. So this is the time that you really work the soil to build something really special. Like, this is the foundation of what should be the core of your magic for the next 3-4. I mean, if you do it right, it's the next decade, and I'm not saying that you're a decade of a dynasty of you winning nothing but Super Bowls, but it's a decade of you being truly competitive, where every single year people are like, well, you can't count out the Denver Broncos, or, hey man, as soon as the Broncos are in the playoffs, Sean Payton and Bo Nix, like the same things that we say, again, maybe not about the Kansas City Chiefs, but the same things we say about the Philadelphia Eagles, the Baltimore Ravens, the Buffalo Bills. Like, that is the first step of what the Denver Broncos are trying to build. And I think when you have that culture and you have that team that's firmly rooted, bringing in a Deebo is significantly easier because you already have something. And because right now, Bo Nix is still going to prove himself. He still has to prove himself to the team, to the coaches, to the media, to the fans, to the world. He's not firmly rooted. And I love Bo Nix and I praised him nonstop. But he's still obviously incredibly young and has to really earn that respect. If Bo Nix, shouts at like a Deebo Samuel and says, hey, get over here, whatever. Like, I don't know if Deebo responds to that necessarily, because he's just not a made man just yet. And so I could see that potentially being a problem. But again, that's where Sean Payton will have to trust or know the culture better, because maybe he can bring in a Deebo and be like, hey, I can run this guy. And if there's anything that's kind of a little wishy-washy, whatever, we can get rid of, I don't know. Or if Sean Payton's kind of like, hey man, if we can get Deebo for cheap, we got to do it. I'm going to build this team the best I can. We're still dealing with the Russell Wilson fallout. Like, there's just other questions that I don't have the answers to. So that's why, one, I'm curious, do Denver Broncos fans even want it? Number one. And number two, I'm still questioning what would that mean for the Broncos? Because again, from an X's and O's, anytime you can add any type of above average piece, it's like, well, yeah, of course you want. But I don't know what would have to be given up for him, as well as culturally, what is he willing to be, the type of player that he's willing to be. But the sheer fact that he's speaking so highly of Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos is pretty awesome. So that goes to show you that, like, he knows what's up. He knows that they're building something. He believes in building. He doesn't want to go to a team that with a quarterback and a coach that can't get the job done. Okay? You know, he still wants to win a Super Bowl. Yeah, he wants to get paid, but he wants to win. He's not looking to just get paid and then do nothing. Like, he wants production. He wants to ball. He wants to win. He wants to play. So the fact that he wants to go to the Denver Broncos is actually pretty cool. However much you like the guy or think you should get him or not, the sheer fact that he's saying what he's saying still speaks volumes. Now to what Colin is saying. First off, DeAndre Hopkins is older, right? He's not who he is, but I agree. Number one, Diggs got injured. Devontae is older as well. I forget a couple of the other the wide receivers. Amari Cooper. You know, like, these are not necessarily these special prime wide receivers in this moment in time. That I just don't think it's 100% fair to do, number one. Number two, you do need chemistry with a wide receiver, whereas you don't really need the chemistry from your running back. You know, a running back can be so much more plug and play. You know, it really comes down to an offensive coordinator who can more understand, you know, how to balance the running game, how to balance the strengths of a specific running back, because not all running backs obviously run the same. And it's more of like understanding of like, okay, you know, what type of runs do I call and how do we approach it, you know, et cetera, in terms of how to make this work, right? Is this a running back who's really going to feed off of an RPO? Is this a running back where I have to do, you know, again, whatever it may be, just from a more technical, you know, X's and O's standpoint, where you need like true chemistry with a wide receiver and quarterback. Like, there's a true connection and a true understanding that you need to develop. So, you know, and the wide receiver and the quarterback, for that matter, need to be willing to put in the work, because Colin's listing a couple people, wide receivers, where he's saying, hey, it didn't work for them. But like, the Philadelphia Eagles went out and got AJ Brown from 21 to 22, and they went to the Super Bowl. And AJ Brown was wildly important for the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, Colin himself made whole segments where that whole offense runs with AJ Brown. When AJ Brown's on the field, they're dominant. They don't lose. When he's off the field, they can't win. You know, and maybe a wide receiver like an AJ Brown is an outlier. But like, I just don't think we can just make it this binary thing where you're like, wide receivers don't really help you as much as you think, whereas running backs do. You know, like, I just don't think that's fair. Do I think that there's a reliability and a level of consistency that you can have with a running back? I do. And are running backs typically less you know, difficult in a locker room? Yeah, the Deebo wide receiver is a very real thing. You know, Derrick Henry has been nothing but an amazing soldier. Saquon Barkley has been nothing but an amazing soldier, right? Like, we know that. Whereas wide receivers can get a little goofy. You know, that's a real effect. But AB went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and was absolutely necessary for Tom Brady to win that Super Bowl. OBJ went to the Los Angeles Rams mid-season, was absolutely needed, won the Super Bowl, was absolutely needed to win the Super Bowl. So just because there was examples this past season that didn't work for them, for wide receivers, and examples that definitely worked for the running backs, doesn't mean that there's also not examples of teams going out and getting wide receivers and winning, you know? So it's just, you kind of got to keep this stuff balanced. And I'm not going to use like you know, is Devontae like 31? I mean, Devontae Adams is either in his 30s or definitely late 20s. So it's like, you know, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say to that right off the bat. Not to mention DeAndre Hopkins, when he first went to the Chiefs, everybody praised it and said that, oh, now they're winning more, they're scoring more points, their offense looks better, Patrick Mahomes' numbers have increased, and they praised it. They praised when they got DeAndre Hopkins. And then he said, oh, did he even play in the Super Bowl? No, because the Philadelphia Eagles were an amazing team and were dominant and you know, took care of business. Like, that's more about the Philadelphia Eagles and less about DeAndre Hopkins. And yeah, DeAndre Hopkins isn't 25, 26, so it's going to be a little bit different. But, you know, We can't 1 minute praise that move and talk about how amazing the Chiefs are for getting like a DeAndre Hopkins, and then in the same breath be like, yeah, but it didn't work for them. It's like, I don't know. You praised it, and everyone started celebrating when it happened and talked about how that offense has improved significantly and how Patrick Mahomes is more free now and can take more chances now. It's like, you know, and now we're kind of taken away. Because also, did Travis Kelce play in that Super Bowl? You know, did Pacheco play in that Super Bowl? Did Patrick Mahomes play in that Super Bowl? Like, we could do that with that whole team, essentially. You know, did any of those players play in that Super Bowl? Or did they all stay home in Kansas City? So, you know, I don't know, man. I don't know. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think the Denver Broncos should want Deebo? And do you think he would be a good fit for Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.